Hello, Atlanta Athletic Club. Matt Check, PGA teaching professional here at the club. Now, I made this video for my competitive practice teams here at the club. And as you know, we meet once a week and we go over different aspects of the game. And then we score you at the end of practice to see how you've kind of taken in all the info and how you're putting it into play as you are playing live on the course. At the end of this 8 weeks, we can go ahead and look back and see where you struggle the most and where you need to practice the most. So let's talk about chipping today. So with chipping, we have 3 core values that I want you to remember. We're going to try to keep this simple here. We're not going to go into a whole lot of bunch of info. We're going to keep it simple. Core value number 1 is to front load your stance. All that means is that when I chip, I want the majority of weight on my front leg. Okay? The easiest way to have this accomplished is as you set up. Now I'm setting up to the ladder drill we'll go over as we went in class later. But if I set up to chip right at these orange sticks, you will notice that my front knee is slightly closer to the target line than my back knee. As I bend over into a golf posture, this will put all the weight on my front leg. So if we have somebody that's the back knee closer to this line, you're going to have the weight on your front foot, and it's going to be a little bit more demanding to get to the weight to the front foot, not as easy as just putting the front knee closer. So that's core value number 1, front load. Core value number 2 is maintaining lag. So as we set up, normally when we chip, we put the ball in the back of our stance. That's to keep the ball low. And as we go back, we're going to have a little bit of lag here, but we're not going to have no lag. We're going to have a little bit of lag. And as we go back, we want to maintain the lag as we go through. So as we watch this, this is going to make sure that we're not adding speed to the club and scooping. And when we scoop, we quit turning. So maintaining lag is a fancy word for turning through. So that's our core value number 2 is to maintain lag. And core value number 3 is to crowd the ball. We always want to stand closer to the ball if we're trying to maintain lag and turn. If we get too far away, we're going to be reaching for it and not necessarily turning as well or with as much ease. So core value number 3 is to crowd the ball slightly and to keep the club head below the waist. Now this is for really short chips. Obviously, if we chipped it farther, we might go above the waist, but these short chips are very much more difficult than longer. That's why we practice these. So if you can learn how to chip with those 3 core values, front loading, so the front knee is slightly closer to the target line, and we're going to maintain the little bit of lag that we get. We can't get a lot of lag when we go above the waist. So we're going to maintain the lag or turn through. And we're going to keep the club head below the waist and crowd the ball. And we can go ahead and try to land it in front of this orange right there. So as you can notice, that was a perfect little chip. Now we moved into our drills. So the 2 drills I want you to do is the ladder drill. So you notice I just landed the first chip in front of the stick, and I'm going to try to go to each stick as I go through. So I'd go ahead and go to the second stick right now. And I got my 3 core values. I got the knee. I'm going to maintain lag and turn through. And I'm going to crowd the ball and keep the club below the waist. And right into the second square. So we can go all the way through the ladder drill. And if you're chipping properly, as with these 3 core values, it should come out the same window of height every time, depending on where you put it in your stance. So we can start to be much more consistent on where we're landing the ball, overall be a better chipper. So let's just say all of a sudden I wanted to maybe hit it higher with a chip. All we have to do now is just move the ball to the front of the stance. So if it's not in the back, now it's in the front. That's going to naturally open up the club face. So we can go ahead and do the same swing, knowing that the club face is a little bit more open, maybe that we're not hitting as much down on the ball, we're getting a little slide under it. It might not go quite as far. That's the only thing you'd have to change. So if I want to go front of the stance chip, I can go to my first little spot right here. And it goes a little higher and softer. So now I have a low chip and I have a high chip. Very simply put. Now, first drill was the ladder. Second drill. The second drill, if you're somebody that's struggling with maintaining lag, all of a sudden, every time you hit it, it might come out low like a worm burner. You may hit behind it, all these things. That means that the body's stopping. We're not maintaining lag. So if we want to do our drill with just the trail hand on the club only, as you watch here, we're going to learn how to take it back. We got a little bit of lag because we see that forearm's not even with the shaft. It's a little bit front. And we're going to maintain the lag and swing through. So trail hand only is drill number 2. So we go ahead. I'm going to go to the second spot here because I just went to the first. And I go back and through, right there in that second spot. Now, as you notice, this finish here, club head still below the waist or even down and back. I haven't flipped it up. So that's all you really need to know for these chipping, and we go over that. Now, I had somebody ask me about different lies. So if I scoot it on here forward, now I'm on a downslope. All of a sudden, when I'm grading my lie and I'm seeing where to put in my stance, I always see what's behind the ball. So the ground is higher above behind the ball. That's going to be in my way. So as I chip now, I'm going to move it severely back in my stance to kind of facilitate more down that angle and getting away from that hill. I might even drop my front shoulder a little bit just to swing down this hill a little bit. So if you're looking at it from this angle, I'm going to be more behind it so I can hit down the hill and not get that hill in my way. So back in the stance, I'll go to the third spot. I'll try two here. Didn't quite make it because it comes out nice and low from there. Now, what if I was on an upslope? Well, if I'm back here on an upslope, there's nothing behind the ball in my way. So I don't have to change anything. It's actually a very easy chip. It's just going to make the ball go a little bit higher, but I'd play the normal chip, try to go to that third one again, right in that third spot. If I was on a side hill, if I come over here, all of a sudden I'm on a little bit of a below my feet side hill. Now this is a little bit in my way. So I have to kind of manipulate, maybe get a little bit closer, a little bit more out to in, just to stay away from that high point of the ground that's inside and behind the ball. So I'm going to go to that fourth spot here. Boom, right in there. Now what happens if I come over here on the side slope above my feet? Is there anything behind the ball that's going to get in my way? No, there's not. So I don't have to change much of anything. I may need to choke up on the club a little bit to make sure that I'm matching the height of the ball now with it being above my feet. So that's pretty much everything for chipping. And let's go ahead and go to pitching. Okay, now let's talk about pitching the ball. Pitches just means that we have to carry the ball over an obstruction. It could be a bunker. For this instance, it's just a high slope. We need to make sure it gets over that obstruction and onto the green softly. We don't want to leave it short. The core values don't change a whole lot from pitching to chipping. Only core value we're going to add is I want you to kind of hoist the ball up and collapse the arms into your belly. So if you look at this, obviously I'm going to play the front of my stance because I want to hit it higher, but I'm going to kind of let the shaft and grip come into my ribs. That's going to help me hoist that ball up and get a little bit more carry, a little bit more height over that obstruction. So as we watch this, most people will try to hoist it up and the club will exit well left of their hands. We want to make sure that that club head is right on top of our hands, almost like Chichi Rodriguez used to drop it in the kind of sword pocket right here. That's kind of the only thing I add when I'm pitching a golf ball. Now you can do this with your highest lofted wedge, but I like to practice with just the sand wedge. If you can hit a sand wedge pitch, you can hit any club pitch, and it's going to, in the long run, help you greatly. So I'm going to put in the front of my stance. I even open up the face a little bit. You don't have to now. It's only for really high level players that need to open the face. Most mid-level players can just get away with the ball in the front and get plenty of height on that ball. But if I were to open the face, I just kind of rest on my back thigh and I can see the bounce resting on the ground, and I'll move it a little bit forward and then grip it from there. And that's going to put me in a position where I already have more loft on the club. Now let's watch this collapsed hoisting finish up into my ribs, and I'll be able to get this right over that hill and land it softly on the green. Again, same rules apply. Sometimes when people get in the front of the stance, they start thinking they got to swing over the top or left because the face looks open. That's not true at all. I actually want to pull this back knee back farther than I do even on the chip to kind of round off this swing and almost get my pitches to land straight. I don't want my pitches to land and veer off away from me. So I'll go in here to hit this. And see that finish right there? I was able to pull it right up into me. If I hit one from the face on so you can see it, it just kind of softly pulls into my belly with the hands and the shaft. I come from here. So I'm able to release this club without stopping my body, without stopping my hands, and just slide right up under that thing for a nice pitch shot. So I'll hoist the club up and in. And that's pretty much everything we went over for chipping and pitching. Now, I would say one more time that when we did our game, we hit it from 5, 10, 15 yards off the green. When people are starting to get 15 yards off the green, they didn't feel like they could normally get the chip all the way back there. Um, but when you go to the range, you need to really see under the waist if you can hit it for distance, because that's going to really maintain an easier approach when we get to the chipping on the course. We don't always have to go to that pitching motion. That's the last case scenario if we have to go over something. So as I hit this last shot, I'm going to try to go all the way back there to those white cones back there over the green and just show you that we can say under the waist and still be aggressive enough to get it with some distance. So I set up here to hit, put in the back of my stance now because I want to get distance on it and hit a nice low chip. And I set it up here and I go back and through. You can see I got it right up to that white cone, kept the club under my waist, and now we know we're in business when we get to the course. Thank you for watching and look forward to working with putting next week. Thank you.